13,000 more people in New Zealand are severely housing deprived compared to the previous census. As a percentage of the population, it's an estimated increase of 0.2%. But there are large disparities between ethnicities, abilities and your postcode. Laura Tupor reports.
Cyclone Gabrielle wreaked havoc just before the 2023 census was scheduled to be taken. And for Gisborne, the wild weather event exacerbated an area that was already experiencing relatively high rates of homelessness.
There's a chronic problem in terms of some very inadequate kind of housing, places without kind of electricity, etc. And so it's likely that the severe weather events have compounded it.
Joining Bulla, that was also pummeled by poor weather, to top the housing deprivation stats by area. It's just the second time Stats NZ has identified people's housing or lack of.
That includes people living without shelter, that's your classic people on the streets, but also people who are couch surfing, sharing someone else's private dwelling but don't have the right to live there, people in uninhabitable housing, and people in temporary accommodation, including things like night shelters, women's refuges.
Notably, the number of people rough sleeping or in an improvised dwelling increased 29.5% from 7.8 per 10,000 in 2018 to 10.1 per 10,000 in 2023. And those in temporary accommodation increased 63.7% from 17.1 per 10,000 to 28 per 10,000.
The temporary accommodation is likely to have been boosted a bit by the investment in emergency and transitional housing that occurred because of COVID.
It's thought to be a world first, asking people who identify as LGBTQI+ about their housing situation.
We found at the time of the 2023 census there were over 4,400 rainbow people who were living in severe housing deprivation. So that's a higher rate than for the general population.
And for disabled communities, 414.5 per 10,000 are severely housing deprived. That's more than double the 203.7 per 10,000 of non-disabled people.
One thing that really shocked us was how high it was for Pacific people with disabilities. It's almost 1,000 disabled Pacific people per 10,000 of the Pacific population.
So even though the estimated population increase in homelessness was 0.2%, the impact of the issue is not evenly distributed between communities.